broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Spotlight On here at AFTERBUZZ TV. I've got a very, very special guest here tonight. I'm Suri Serano, and he chose this music, by the way. This is his music that he wanted to intro this show to. So he's a mixed martial artist, currently starring on The Ultimate Fighter Season 21, a member of Team Blackzilians out of Florida. And his nickname is the Nigerian Nightmare, although I gotta tell you, he is anything but a nightmare and very much a Southern gentleman. If nobody knows that, the secret is out. Welcome to the show, Kamaru Usman.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
You are very welcome.
Do people know that you're a Southern gentleman?
People that actually get to interact with me know that. And so when you get to interact with me, you know that I was raised properly. I was raised in Texas, and so as you know, those Texas boys are raised right.
As I know.
Well, as you should know, Texas boys are raised right, and so I always have my manners on me.
I love it. Well, I can attest to that. That is true. Well, let's get started because there's a lot I want to talk with you about tonight. Okay. Okay, so born in Nigeria, came to the U.S. at 5 years old, to Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, about 7.
About 7.
To Arlington, Texas, yes.
Got it. Was that a culture shock? Do you remember that at 7 years old?
Yeah, definitely. I remember everything. I remember even being in Nigeria.
Really?
Yes, definitely. And it wasn't, you know what, I would say, yeah, right away it kind of was, because we saw snow right away.
Oh my, in Texas?
Right when, yes, and that was, it hadn't snowed for a few years before that. And it was the winter season, and we came over and we saw snow. We're driving home, and I was asking, what is that white stuff on the ground? Because I'd never seen that before.
Right.
And then they told us it was snow and kind of explained it to us. So it was actually kind of, it was amazing to actually see at that young age.
I love it. Did you grow up in an athletic household?
Yes, I would say coming up, we did.
Mm-hmm.
My dad played soccer, and he played soccer. And my mother ran track, and I actually watched her run, not competitive track, but she loved to run, and I watched her run. She was a teacher, and they would have the kind of teacher races and things of that nature, you know, back in Nigeria, and I actually watched her run in some of them. And so she was athletic, and my dad was athletic, and all my brothers
got the genes.
Sisters are athletic. Definitely.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother named Cash. He played semi-pro soccer, and he played in college at South Carolina, Aiken, and he was national team, I think with 18, 19, something around there. He was, you know, junior national team or something of that nature, and got to travel with USA.
Amazing.
And I have a little brother named Muhammad. He played football at University of Arizona, and played arena football, and now he's still working hard. He actually lives in San Diego, still working hard and trying to get into the NFL. He just needs a shot because he's extremely talented, and he knows he can play the game. But
tough business.
Once you're out of that circle, you're out of that circle.
Absolutely.
And my younger sister has just graduated last week from high school.
Aww.
And signed to play volleyball at Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, I'd say you have an athletic family.
A
that is for sure. I love it. Well, I mean, being in Texas, it's all about football, as you know.
Yes.
So I read that you started, I read that you were 5'2" entering high school. Is that correct? You were 5'2"?
Yes, actually, that is correct. In middle school, junior high, football wasn't too bad because I was fast, like most of the kids, and small like most of the kids, and so I could get away with a lot of stuff. But then when you go to high school, everybody grows, and I just didn't grow from that part. So I'm 5'2", 103 pounds my freshman year, and I just remember getting hit a few times, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just don't think this sport's for me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was kind of,
yeah, you're in Texas.
I was kind of a little wimp back then. I was still growing. I was a growing boy.
So you waited a year, right, to start wrestling, and you
Yes.
started your sophomore year in high school.
Yes, I started competing for my high school team my sophomore year.
And you cleaned up senior year. Your record was 53-3.
Yes, senior year. By senior year, I knew, my junior year, I knew it was something that I wanted to do, but I still was kind of hanging on, to being part of the cool kids, and I wasn't fully dedicated into doing it. And that summer between my junior year and my senior year, I decided to kind of give myself completely to wrestling. I went to camps all summer. I wrestled all summer and competed. And then I came back that senior year. I was just like, this is what I want to do, and I want to be the best at it.
Well, you cleaned up in Texas, it sounds like. And then you were given a scholarship to William Penn in Iowa. Is that correct? And then transferred after 1 year. Why did you transfer to Nebraska Kearney?
It's actually Nebraska Kearney.
Kearney, yes. Excuse me.
No, it's okay. Everyone mispronounces that.
I learned something new.
I went to the school because it was kind of a last resort for me. It was a last minute deal.
Yeah.
The school the university I actually wanted to get into, I was pretty much in. I was just waiting for my acceptance letter. I signed a letter of intent and everything of that nature. I was going to get scholarship. And so it was a big university. And
Can you tell me who it was?
It was Appalachian State University in North Carolina. And so I'm waiting and I'm waiting for that call from the coach. Hey, okay, you report to school this time and this time. And it was approximately, I want to say, 3 weeks before school started. And no call. I wasn't getting calls. I wasn't getting texts, anything from him anymore. And so I kind of just assumed, I kind of got the hint that you probably are not going to get in here. And so that university, William Penn University, kept calling me and said, okay, we have money for you. We have a lot of money for you. Why don't you come here? We'll give you a scholarship. Come here. And I was just like, okay, screw it. I don't really have an option. My mom and dad are like, you're going to go somewhere for school. You're not staying home. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I went, packed my bags, I went. Unfortunately, it wasn't what I expected, what I wanted.
In what way?
Just from the town, from the experience, just the overall school experience. It wasn't what I wanted, and although I did, just the 2 years that I spent there, I learned a lot. I grew up a lot from there, being on my own and being away. I went from Texas, Arlington, Texas, to Iowa.
Yeah.
And that's, it was a huge cultural shock to me.
Sure.
But
it's very different.
Definitely. But I grew up, it had a huge effect on me and helping me grow up. I had a lot of different life altering things that happened while I was there.
What was the biggest one?
Would you say, I learned a lot about people in the world and how they perceive and stereotype a few,
I feel what you're putting down.
Yeah, you picking up what I'm putting down?
I picked it up.
And so I grew up a lot. I grew up fast there. And so I decided to make the move to a bigger and better university. That's what I felt like. And instantly I clicked with the university. I clicked with the team, the coaches.
Yeah.
And my development-wise as a wrestler, I knew that was a place that I wanted to be, that was going to help me get to my ultimate goal of being a national champion. And so...
How many schools did you visit before you transferred?
I visited just one.
Just one?
Just
okay.
one.
Nice.
I talked to them before, actually. I talked to them briefly before I actually signed to William Penn. And... my stock really wasn't that high at that point with them, although they knew me and they wanted me to come there.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you just need to go somewhere to really build that and create that buzz about yourself. And so, that's actually one of the, things that I actually do appreciate about going to William Penn. It actually did help me do that.
Shaped you a lot. It sounds like it really molded you as a person.
It did, definitely.
Yeah, build some character.
It definitely did.
Those years are kind of about that, those college years. You had tremendous success at your school that you transferred to.
Yes.
2008 overall team champion. You guys were. You were the runner-up for what at 174 in 2009, and you were the NCAA Division II champion in 2010.
Yes.
No small feat. That's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then you were also a member of the 2010 University World Team.
Yes.
How was that?
It was fun. It was amazing to be able to travel with and represent your country in the sport that you love, and so it was. I loved it.
When did that become a goal of yours to represent the U.S.?
After winning a national title in college.
That's honest. I love it.
Yes, it was. I can't. To be honest with you, I can't say it was my lifelong dream as a kid to, want to go to the Olympics. Of course, you watch the Olympics, and you never think that that's something that you can achieve coming from a certain place and where I come from. And so, it was right after I got there. It was for me. It was basically about setting a goal and getting the formula how to get to that goal and achieving that goal. And that's kind of how it was in high school. And then after high school was what was next, college, and after college is what was next. Right. Okay, let's go do that.
What was the greatest lesson you learned when you finished your collegiate career?
Just that. It was after just setting goals for yourself and achieving them, and then moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
I think some people get complacent on setting one goal for themselves, and then they achieve that goal, and then it's like, oh, what do I do now? Oh, I don't know what to do. And then it just kind of goes downhill from there. It was just continuing to strive for something greater than what you've done and a higher purpose. And so that's definitely one of the biggest things that I learned from that.
I love that. And then you moved on, if I'm correct, to Colorado Springs, the Olympic Training Center.
Yes.
And you trained there for 2 years to try and make the Olympic team.
Yes.
Question about that. I know that you trained with Jake Ellenberger's brother, Joe, at your school, and he planted MMA in your head at that time, right, during school?
Yes.
So what made you put that on hold? The Olympics?
Yes, definitely. Joe Ellenberger he was my teammate in 2008 when we were team champions. And then he graduated. And while we were teammates, he was a guy that, we had a love-hate kind of relationship. He was the loud guy on the team. But when he was in a room, you knew he was in a room. And although he was loud and sometimes obnoxious, he was very honest about the way he did things.
Yeah.
Although he said it in a rude way and a loud way, you never could say that, oh, he's wrong, or he wasn't honest about that. And that was one of the things that I grew to respect from him after he graduated. And I just knew, and he was a tough individual, very tough guy, and he fought during the summers while he was in school. Of course, he didn't fight for money because he couldn't, but a guy that can go out and train and fight and do something that tough. And I asked him, I said, hey, I need you to come back and help me achieve this goal and win a national title. I need you to come back and work with me and help me out. And to be honest, and he was working a job, an actual real job in a big company, making good money. And he decided to put that on hold and come back and coach. Yes. And of course, he got his master's degree out of it, so it wasn't a bad deal.
Yeah. I love it. So you trained for 2 years, and your many injuries keep you from the trials. Walk me through all these injuries that stopped you from competing.
Training at Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, it was a very great experience for me, because it definitely, now you're training at the highest level,
right,
with some of the best athletes in the world.
Sure.
And you're at the Olympic Training Center, so the best athletes in the world are coming in and out, day in and day out. Phelps is there all the time, to train. We have wrestlers that are Olympic champions that are coming in and out.
Gymnasts.
Yes, gymnasts that are coming in and out. And my coach, our national team coach, was Olympic champion, 2000 Olympic champion Brendan Slay, and our developmental coach was Bill Zadek, who was a world champion. And so when you're there at the highest level training with all these guys, you have to give the maximum effort every day in and day out, which is something that I did myself already. And so being there, it was just a combination of just that and that, I want to say just the high altitude and just
your body broke down from all the training.
My body broke down fast.
Ooh.
And I just wasn't recovering, and I wasn't it just wasn't working out to where I was always hurt, little injuries. I'd tear my knee up, I'd tear my elbow up, I'd tear something up, and it just, with all those significant injuries like that, after a while it starts to take a toll on the way you feel and the way that you think.
Mentally. It's so tough.
Yes, and at that level, only just the mental aspect of it separates the guy on the podium, the Olympic champion, from
First
the guy
and second.
that took second or the guy that took eighth.
Right.
It's just who wanted it more at that time. And so those injuries was kind of starting to hurt my motivation for the sport and my love and passion for it. And I wasn't performing the way that I wanted to perform, and the way that I knew I was capable of performing. And so, me and my coach just kind of sat down together and, felt that the best thing for me was to move on to something that I was really passionate about.
How long before the Olympics was this?
It was actually the Olympic year, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. So, that had to be a really challenging time. Just emotionally and mentally and everything, when you've put everything thus far in your career into that, that dream,
yes.
Not your whole life, but, your wrestling career and
yes.
college and whatnot. What's your state of mind at that point?
It was something that I felt that my coaches kind of knew was coming, and I knew it was coming, because while training towards the end there, I was having moments to where I would get an opportunity to do something with M.M.A, train with a guy or train with someone, and it was kind of, I started to see the other side of it. And I was just like, you know what? Wow, this is actually not bad. I actually like this. I like training. And so it was kind of a little escape for me when I started to get a little complacent, and then that wrestling, that training with my injury started to get a little monotonous. Having a little escape for a week train with the MMA fighter who is famous all over the world. It was something that just kind of was like, okay, I can do that, and it's something that I kind of do. I want to do. And so towards the end there, of course, I'm very disappointed with the way that my wrestling career ended, essentially. But I was looking forward to something else. I knew something greater was in store for me. Yes.
Right. So how did you choose the Blackzilians? Because your next move was to Florida, correct?
Yes.
Boca Raton for the Blackzilians. How did that come about? There are so many talented gyms out there. How did you choose them?
Prior to deciding to make that switch completely to MMA, I had trained with Rashad Evans before. And to be honest with you, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie. He had a huge part in my decision.
Really?
I met him, and this was, and I don't know if he knows, I don't think I've ever told him, but I'd never been starstruck by anybody before. But when I met him, initially, of course, I wouldn't show it. I wouldn't say,
Where'd you meet him?
Cool guy. We actually met in Denver. He was training for one of his fights, and he was in Denver at the time. And I think it was kind of the time where he was going through his transitional phase, leaving Jackson's and looking for a new gym. Mm-hmm. And we met in Denver, and I went in and I trained with him, and we wrestled and worked out that day. And that was all good and fine, but what really got me about him was his personality. It was, when you see a guy and you watch a guy on TV and you watch this guy go out and knock out people countless times on TV, and you build a persona about him and the way he carries himself on screen. Mm-hmm. You build that persona in your mind of what you think that guy is like. And so when I actually got to meet him and speak with him and just talk to him, and he was a downright, just a great guy, a wonderful individual. And I was just like, you know what? That's a guy that I kind of want to be around.
Yeah.
And of course, his drive and his talent in the sport and his knowledge in the sport was like, okay, that's the guy that I want to be with, be around, and learn from. And we just got closer and closer. He brought me out to another one of his training camps when he was down in Florida, and I met the coach, and it was just an environment that I loved. And yes, I had other gyms that I visited, like Team Takedown down in Texas, another gym that I love, and I actually do train at when I'm back home in Texas. I visited them, and then I visited Blackzilians, and I just, I'm like, you know what, that's I want to go with Blackzilians. I feel very well. It felt right. It just felt right.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Apparently so. And that will lead us, obviously, to this season's The Ultimate Fighter 21, Blackzilians against American Top Team down the road from you. Gosh, there are so many questions I have for you about that. But before we go there, you were a coach on season 14, or part of that coaching team as the wrestling coach. What did you learn from being a part of season 14 that you implemented going into this season to help you?
A big thing that I learned was kind of basically, because those fights, being in the show, you have to be able to fight in rapid succession in back-to-back weeks in a short amount of time, to where guys, typically you have 8 to 10 to 12 weeks
sometimes
prepared
longer
for a fight, sometimes longer, to prepare for a big fight. And on that show, you have to be able to be ready to fight every week or every other week if need be. And that was something that I actually learned how some of the guys navigated with that. And it was an easier transition for me because I was used to wrestling and competing week to week to week and cutting weight and making weight.
Right.
And so it was one of the things that I think the biggest takeaway that I took from that.
Yeah. How was it, of course, I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, how was it living in a house without any social media and all the communication? And I mean, I think people, now they may know more, but it's still behind the scenes. People don't realize that you have no access to kind of anything, and it's like I think Rashad actually said it's a big sociology experiment.
It is, definitely.
Right? How did you hold yourself together?
It wasn't that hard for me, to be honest with you. It wasn't that hard. It's after the first couple, for me it was the first couple of days, and after that you don't even think about it. It actually is it's a good thing.
Right.
And I don't think people realize nowadays, how much fillers and distractions that we have all through the day. I don't think people do realize it. And it's
good point.
Not just your phone, not just being on social media, not just certain things. It's the noise that's in a room when you're there. It's a familiar place, familiar room. It's the noises that are in there, just the voices, the people that are talking. Although you're not listening to them, you hear them, and it makes you feel comfortable being in that circle and in that bubble because you're used to being there. And on the show, in that experiment, it's being able to be in a house with all these guys, and there's no TV, there's no internet, there's no phones, there's no music. And so being able to be in a space to where it's completely silent, you're isolated. So if there's no sound, you have to create the sound. And that right there was a few times guys kind of, some guys would go crazy from that.
Yes, I've said it on the show, on our after show that I do here. Every week I've said it, like some people, male or females, in that environment, you're going to see mental strength.
Definitely.
Or weakness. Either way. What would you say, where did you grow the most in your journey on season 21? And that could be fighting, it could be personal, it could be anything.
I would say more personal. I grew more personal.
Really?
And I would have to say it's with patience. Because as a wrestler and being used to cutting weight and the way that process works, if you've never really cut weight in the way that fighters and wrestlers do it, it's a mental challenge, a mental battle. And you get to a certain point to where you're just you don't want to deal with certain things. You don't want to hear certain things. You don't want to.
I've heard this.
Just even be around. And I'm sure you have friends that are fighters that.
Listen to the way you say that. I know which friends you're talking about.
I'm sure
we will not say that person's name.
We will not disclose any names, but
it's tough though.
It is. It's definitely tough to be able to deal with the outside when you have that much stress and pressure and anxiety and things going on in your life at that moment. And I think with this show, it definitely helped me. And a big part, to be honest with that, I would attest to was one of my teammates, Carrington Banks. And he was a guy, I don't know if it's coming across like that on the show, but I personally in my mind like to describe him as a hippie. He's got that hippie soul. He's the cool guy. He just,
it's not coming across on the show, but that's cool to know. It doesn't
matter where he's at. He's just a cool guy. He's a very chill guy. His energy is always, and he's one of those guys that's very into energies, and he's positive energy all the time, and he's okay, I'm gonna be me, and that's what makes you you, and that's and that.
I love it.
He's a lovable guy everywhere he's at with everybody he meets, and so, he was a huge part in me kind of working on that patience with everybody else, because usually I'm a guy, when I'm focused, and I don't really like to, divert off the mission at hand, and so.
Do you see a change in your fighting given that newfound patience? I mean, I would think it would help a little bit.
Yes, definitely. I think it does. It does help with my mental, being, because if I'm focused, before I'm focused, this is what I need to get done. I'm zeroed in. I'm narrowed in on it. Yeah. And I think this helped me a lot with dealing with certain times, because certain times, certain things don't go the way you want it to be. They might not play your music, or they might not do, which I've been great with in the past in dealing with, but this helped me basically even deal with it even better.
Yeah,
and being more relaxed. Yeah,
brilliant. Well, I know you can't obviously tell me what happens in the remaining weeks of the show. We will tune in to find out, and then obviously we don't know who's in the finale. Hopefully it's you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But post-show, real life goals, short-term goals. What are you looking at? What do you want?
Short-term goals. Hopefully, I win all my fights on the show.
Mm-hmm. That's very short-term.
Very, very short-term. And hopefully I win the show. If I'm selected to be on the finale, hopefully I'm that guy, and hopefully I win the show.
Post-show, in your career.
In my career, I definitely want to have that. I definitely want to have that gold strap. 100%. I want to be that UFC champion. It's when I step in to do something, and I pursue an endeavor, I want to be the guy. I want to attain the highest achievement that can be attained by it, whether it was a high school state title or a national championship in college or an Olympic gold medal or the UFC title. I want to achieve that goal.
What's it going to take to get to that?
I know it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. These are qualities that I believe I already possess. And it's just a matter of time. And of course, the right opportunity.
What motivates you?
What motivates me? I have a few things that motivates me. Of course, a better life for myself and my family is probably one of the biggest things, because I'm very big on family. And so that's...
You know why I'm laughing. I know that. We were talking about family before the show.
And so that's definitely a huge driving force behind it.
Yeah.
But also for the glory of it as well. Because these are sports that you don't just get into because, I'm chasing money. I want to make money. You don't just get into because of that. Because at the beginning stages, you make no money. Some fighters actually lose money.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's something that you have to severely love and severely want to do, And of course, I'm a competitor overall. I'm a competitor. I love to compete. I chose this because it was another avenue, another form of me competing. Yeah. If there was nothing else for me to do, I would have did curling just to compete.
I love it. I love it. You never know. It could be a second career or third career.
I actually thought about that while I was at the training center.
You did?
Yeah.
I love it.
You know what?
I could curl.
Yeah, I can work that. I seen these guys do it. I can do it.
I love it. What's something that would surprise people about you?
Something that would surprise people about me is, like you mentioned, just kind of how I am in general. When people see someone on TV and and of course TV kind of builds a persona for you.
For sure.
And, to the untrained eye, when they see something like that, they go with that. They're like, oh, he's this way or he's that way. And when you see me on TV, I'm 100% in competitive mode the whole time. That doesn't really give you a sense of who I am outside and how I carry myself. And I think that's a big thing that shocks a lot of people when they talk to me and when they're around me.
That is fantastic. Who has carried you through your most challenging moments in life?
Man, that's a good question. I have a pretty small net group and support system that I go to, and it's it could change here and there, but it doesn't change much. Of course, my parents, my mom and dad are always in there. They're of course they gave me life.
Yes.
that's pretty important. That's a big one.
Very.
And they definitely a big part of why I am here and why I am who I am. And also some of my coaches, my high school wrestling coach, David Mudgett and John Mans. And David Mudgett is a guy that took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity to do something and be a part of this sport that most people really wouldn't, or would be patient enough to take that time to really develop and work with the kid. And I actually just told him that, the last time I saw him, I appreciate his patience, and his vision and seeing that, okay, that kid might be something. And also my club coach in high school, Alan Rogers, he's a guy that has been there for me every step of the way and is still there for me every step of the way. And I owe a lot to that man. Like he definitely, if I definitely needed something, he's a guy that I could call and say, I'm in a bad situation, I need something, and without hesitation, I know he's a man that would definitely do that. He treats me like a son.
It sounds like you've got a lot of wonderful people around you.
Yes.
Besides Rashad Evans, what fighters do you respect and look up to most?
To be honest with you, I respect all fighters. You have to be
crazy. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
a little bit.
A little bit.
A little
smidge
bit.
of it.
You have to
Maybe
have a little bit
more.
in there. Fighters are special individuals to be able to handle all that. I don't think you watch it on TV and people just think, oh, it's a fight. I can do that. I can go in there and do that. They're just punching each other. They're screaming at the TV, do this or you suck or this and that. And I don't think they realize what it takes and what you go through mentally to get in that cage. And excuse me, I saw a video, Cowboy Cerrone. They did a spotlight on him leading up to one of his fights, and he explained kind of the process of what he goes through, leading up to that fight, that 24 hours leading up to it. And it was an amazing piece because he was dead on with most of it. Just that emotional roller coaster that you go through in getting prepared for that fight. It was amazing, and that's quite on.
Yeah. Do you have any specific rituals or things that you have to do before you fight? Do you have a certain routine that you have to? What's your fight week or the day before, your last 24 hours like?
My last 20, I do have a routine. I believe you kind of have to have a routine. You kind of have to have a plan, even when you go in a fight.
Yeah.
Of course that plan may shift and change and things of that nature, but you kind of have to have a plan. And this was a quote that I heard from my college coach, and this was something that he would say kind of, here and there.
This is your favorite quote.
Yeah, he would say here and there, but he didn't think, obviously I don't think he knows that I kind of live by this now. And he would always say sometimes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And initially I was kind of like, what? Oh, wow, that does make sense. If you don't have a plan, like it's gonna be tough for you to achieve that goal.
Right.
And so, you know, I kind of have a routine that I want to get down, but that routine can change. It could be a time crunch. Okay, we need you to fight now, or, you know, and fights never go according to time, because anything can happen in a fight.
I heard that you do study your opponent.
Very much.
You do. I mean, I know some fighters do, some fighters don't. This is about you planning, right?
Very much. I definitely study. I actually love the sport. I love to watch fights. I love to watch boxing, combat sports. And so I love to study my opponents. And so when I get into that fight, I know what to expect. I know what to look out for. And I know where I can exploit their weaknesses, or, you know, things of that nature.
Yeah. Do you have any, who are your favorite fighters who are the favorite fighters in your division?
In my division, favorite fighters, I would have to say myself. I'm getting there, but I like a few guys. I think just the rebirth of Matt Brown and the way he's been fighting, to go from a guy that was kind of mediocre to coming out and just doing some of the things that he's done. I think that's amazing. Johnny Hendricks is a good guy. You know, I trained with him a few times, and I think he's a great fighter. Great fighter. You know, there's definitely some guys in that division that I like.
Those are your ones.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we're gonna switch gears a little bit and just have a little fun.
Okay.
Enough of the heavy stuff. So we're gonna do rapid fire.
Okay.
Have you played this before?
No, I have not.
Okay, I'm gonna give you two choices, and you can't think. You just have to give me one or the other after I say them.
Okay.
No pressure.
All right. No pressure.
You sweating over there?
A little bit. It's a little hot in here.
Okay. It is. Here we go. Read a book or watch a movie.
Watch a movie.
Instagram or Twitter.
Instagram.
Fruits or vegetables.
Fruits.
Coffee or tea.
Coffee.
Salty or sweet.
Salty.
Do you prefer hot or cold?
Hot.
Mac or PC?
PC.
Favorite country you visited?
India.
Surf or snowboard?
Neither.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
It changed, but I background dancer to a civil electrical engineer to now marriage counselor.
Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes. When I'm done fighting, I'm going to go back to school and be a marriage counselor.
That's amazing. You heard it here first. Favorite concert you've been to?
Beyonce.
Favorite zoo animal? Yeah, she's the queen. Favorite zoo animal?
I would have to say orangutan.
What's one thing you always do before fighting?
Before fighting, crouch down, get in the zone.
Almond butter or peanut butter?
Peanut butter.
Crunchy or smooth?
Smooth.
What city were you born in?
Ouchie.
Favorite thing about Florida?
Beach.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Right-handed or left?
Right.
Favorite home-cooked meal?
Rice.
Rice? Regular milk or soy?
Almond.
Okay, 4th of July or New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve.
Super Bowl or NBA Finals?
NBA Finals.
Last movie you watched?
Entourage.
Ooh, bikes or motorcycles?
Motorcycles.
Favorite sports play other than fighting?
To play.
To do, yeah.
To do basketball.
Captain America or Thor?
Thor.
Favorite cheat meal?
Pizza.
Favorite time of day?
Nighttime.
Favorite fighter in the history of the sport?
Dominic Cruz.
If you could meet one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Maya Angelou.
Ooh, that's an excellent choice. I would be with you on that one. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
I want to say we've run out of time, and that's not what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for taking time and coming all the way from Florida. No, just kidding. All the way out
She's
here
not kidding.
to the studios. I'm not kidding, actually. He lives in Florida, and we are in California. I really appreciate it. It was fun to sit down and chat with you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here, and I love it.
Ever
Thank
the
you.
Southern gentleman. Where can people find you on social media?
I am on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, but please don't add me on Snapchat.
Why?
You can. Snapchat at Usman 84 kg, and that's USMAN 84 kg.
I love it. Best of luck to you for the rest of the season. And
Thank
then,
you
of course,
very
in your
much.
career, hopefully you'll come back and visit.
I will.
And I'm at Suri Serano on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, all of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.